welcome back to another episode of I'm Just Saying. I'm Jeremiah and Gabe. Man, it's been a long
time no see.
Yeah. We started this, last year?
Yeah, about this time last year.
Yeah.
I had fun with it. It was a couple.
It was fun, but it was just, we got busy after like the second or third episode.
Life happens.
Joining my fraternity. Shout out to Brothers of Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated, man. And then Gabe started doing his own thing with Tennessee and stuff like this. But I'm glad to be back, man.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Like to announce that we have partnered with the Field of 68 to help bring us back this podcast. We, like I said, we did it last year, had a good time with it, and kind of got out of it, and then we were able to get connected with Jeff and his company to help bring you guys a Tennessee Volunteers basketball podcast, all things men's basketball. We'll be here with you the whole season, just ready to go, ready to get it started.
Hoping to stay as consistent as at least once a week for sure.
Yeah, at least once a week, if not more. Breaking down the games, breaking down some of the big storylines. Today we're gonna preview the season for you guys. Our first game Sunday. We got an exhibition against Indiana, so we'll do like a little team preview.
All right, man.
Get right into it.
Of course, yeah. Of course, we got a returning guard, HC Defensive Player of the Year, Zakai Ziegler.
For sure.
And we got Jamae. Meshach is back as well. Jordan Gainey as well.
Well, we had a big roster turnover from last year. I think we're returning just one starter. We're returning just Zakai Ziegler. We lost either whether it be through NBA, I'm not in Connect, we'll get into that, whether it be
graduation,
folks running out of eligibility. And then we had some transfers. We'll also get into that, who new players we have, maybe replace those guys who we have to fill those shoes.
Yeah.
But there's a big roster turnover. It's not the same. It's going to be an interesting preview, especially because, like we said, I think we lost like our 3 top scorers.
This is a new team. Like really, this is not the same team that Coach Barnes had. This is a really new team. I'm excited to see how he gels his team. What they've been on. So obviously,
let's recap the end of last year though. Tennessee had a great year, probably its best year in the Rick Barnes era, more likely. Obviously, that was led by surprising transfer phenom Dalton Connect, who's now made his way over to Los Angeles. Congratulations to Dalton. But Tennessee won. Let's see how many they won. Let's go and pull up the stats. Tennessee was 27-9 in 14-4 in SEC. So Tennessee 14-4 was good enough for an SEC regular season championship title. Unfortunately, they did lose first game in the SEC tournament. Lost to Mississippi State. Wasn't a great game. 0-2 against that team last year. We got to face them again. They got a lot of returning players, but we'll get back to that later. Despite that, went to the tournament, had a pretty great run. They stopped short of Purdue, who, Zach Edey and that team went all the way to the national championship. Yeah. So, that's to be expected, and I thought they did great. Dalton Connect had an amazing game, an amazing season. One of the best defensive teams, if not the best defensive team in the nation.
Definitely Cinderella year for him.
They did a really good job last year. And so the big question is, how will we do this year compared to last year? We have a lot of new faces, a lot of new talent. So let's get right into it.
I think really, we got to start with, like I said, returning the SEC Defensive Player of the Year at the helm of point guard, Zakai Ziegler, man. I think he's going to have pretty much about the same season, if not better, when it comes to maybe a little bit more. They probably have to rely on him for a little bit more scoring. So I'm thinking like a 13 or 14 points per game type of guy, 14-5 with 2 steals maybe.
I think the big thing with Zakai is last year, he was a big leader last year, a big voice, and has been the whole time while he's at Tennessee. He's entering his 4th year, I believe. But last year, the big leaders in the team were Santiago Vescovi and Josiah Jordan James. They were 5th-year seniors. They're out of eligibility, so they're no longer here. But they did a lot for the team in the locker room. They did a lot behind the scenes. They were those guys. They were the experience. They were the rocks. And so even though Zakai was a leader, it is on guys like Zakai, and then we'll talk about Jeremiah Meshach, the guys who've been in the locker room the longest.
Even Jordan Gainey for their bench presence.
For sure.
Understanding you might not get ticks today, but you got to go hard in those 10 minutes that you make it. You know what I'm saying?
definitely I think Zakai Ziegler's role as a leader is going to be
he's gonna have to step up.
His most intangible asset, which Zakai the whole time he's been here the past couple of years, and even almost to a detriment. I remember a few years ago when he went down, I believe he tore his ACL. I think we might have struggled a little bit after he left, not only because Zakai is so good, but I do think the offense, and especially maybe Rick Barnes, has relied on Zakai to bring the ball up whenever we're kind of stalled and we need to get the offensive in the half to like get moving again. You want to find, so even in the half court, they're trying to find Zakai because Zakai, his handle, he's a pretty good shot. He's that guy he's that spark. And then of course, like we said, SEC Defensive Player of the Year, also undersized. Like that's, I feel like we haven't, I feel like we haven't said, I mean, he won the Defensive Player of the Year in the SEC as a 5'9" point guard. But it's the way that he does it too. He gets under defenders. He gets under.
He picks up 94 feet.
He picks up 94 feet. He's relentless, as all Rick Barnes players are. That's the one consistency about this team that will always be. These Rick Barnes players will always be conditioned. They will always play hard. Defense will never be a problem. And Zakai kind of leading that. We can get right into like on top of that. Jeremiah Meshack though, as far as the defense, probably one of the better. He became a real name for when we knew him, but nationally in the postseason because of his
the best player on
he was one of, if not the best perimeter defender in the nation. He's returning. His leadership can't be understated. I think those two guys,
I think they're going to really carry the defense this year and bring that energy of like the Rick Barnes defense.
Their tangible defensive skills will help the team out a lot.
If their vocal is,
but their vocal leadership, like I said, we've said it a million times. But like I can't express like how much, because they've been with the team. They've won highs and lows. It does take guys who have been through it, who know how to win, to lead some of these other guys we're about to get into, who are coming in to replace some of the guys. Well, first, before we mention the new ones, we will mention that, like I said, Santiago Vescovi, out of point guard / shooting guard's been here the past 5 years. He's out of eligibility, so he's gone. Josiah Jordan James, kind of like your Swiss Army knife kind of player. If y'all saw him in the tournament, he was kind of here, kind of there, stealing, blocking, get some dunks. Well, not always consistent from three, but would always make the big three.
He brought some. I'm trying to see like the veteranship to the team.
Also veteran leader.
Like knowing like okay, y'all we just let them get 6 in a row, calm the ball down, be vocal, play defense. We're going to get right back. We saw a lot of it in the tournament.
Yeah, so those two guys are gone there out of eligibility, but that's to be expected. We all knew last year that they were going to have to replace those guys, and that's fine. What might have been a surprise, depending on who, what you felt, we did lose our big men. Our Jonas Adu was there, our second leading scorer, our main big man, low post defender, lost him to Arkansas, and we lost Toby Awaka, who also kind of made a name for himself in the tournament. Again, we knew he was, but in the postseason of being that big bruiser kind of guy, he wasn't the tallest.
I was about to say he was like 6'8", 6'9", but
but he was strong. And he was unbelievably strong. He could also guard your best defender.
True.
And I don't know about you, Jeremiah, but I was kind of surprised that Toby left. I kind of expected Adu.
Yeah, I was surprised that Toby left for sure, because I think we knew that Adu was thinking about transferring like before the season was really even over. So I was like, okay, Awaka's gonna have his own like, okay, I'm the starting big. I'm gonna start big on this team.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Jonas admittedly didn't have the best postseason. Yeah. He was finding more minutes being lost to guys like Toby Awaka, guys like JP Estrella was taking some minutes from him. And so it's not a surprise. He goes to Arkansas with Coach Cal. It's not like the biggest surprise ever, but I was surprised that both of them left, because you would think one of them would want to stay and kind of
knowing that I'm going to be a star.
Yeah, and secure that spot like IMD big man. So with them having gone, and then of course, elephant in the room, Dalton Connect, in my opinion, should have been player of the year for every award. Should have been a top 5, top 10 pick in the draft. Proved the haters wrong, Dalton. I mean, every step of the way, he's proved everybody wrong. He was unbelievable last year. Won't harp on it too much because it's a new season, but I'll just say for me personally, having gotten to be at the games, having got to cover those games, I mean, it was the highlight of my season.
Yes.
Of my whole athletic year last year, including the baseball national championship. It was the highlight of my year watching Dalton Connect cook all the best. I mean, he's dropping 40 on Kentucky. He's dropping 40 on Purdue. He's dropping 37 in North Carolina. Like, win, lose, draw them in is a bucket getter. He's going to prove it in the leagues. He's already, a lot of people saw that preseason game. Weird, big Dalton Connect fans. Huge loss. You just don't. I was just saying right now before we get into any of the transfers, you don't replace that.
Yeah.
There's no like. I would just be shocked, very happily surprised, but shocked if you just accidentally get another Dalton Connect.
But we did have a conversation about, like, we may not have a guy that averages that 20, 21 a game or 3, 40, 90 almost shooting, but we can have guys that come in, average 15 per, like average 30 together or 35 combined points.
That is the idea. Is like maybe some of these transfers can together come and make the team. Maybe you won't. And I think we'll get it right in. I think one of the most compelling players to maybe take that spot, if we were to do like have one guy be the guy, which I kind of liked last year having. I do think that's something Rick Barnes' teams has.
I think also, but like if we can have more, I feel like that kind of runs out, because when Dalton wasn't on, it was like, what is our offense? So it was like when he's missing those shots that he normally makes, what is our offense? So I think with this new transfer class that Barnes brought in, we're going to see a lot of more like, okay, if a guy's not on, we got a backup in this. If that person's not on, then we got another guy that can go get one for us when we need it. But starting off with the first transfer that I do want to talk about is Darlington Dubar. He's a transfer from Hofstra.
That's first. He's a class when he transferred, but he was a dog while he was there.
He's a guy.
You want to read off?
Yeah, his splits were he averaged 18, 7, and almost 2 assists a game with a block and a steal a game. He did this on 54% shooting and almost 40% shooting from the 3. Yeah, that's 6'8".
6'8".
Yeah,
crazy long, pretty athletic.
He's strong.
He can shoot. He's official
scorer, really.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He's got it. He's got the perfect build. We'll have to see how he makes that adjustment in the SEC, but perfect build for that Rick Barnes style of defense. Like, he can guard a lot of positions. Like I say, 6'8". He's dynamic. I mean,
I just like how calm his game is. Like, his game is not like, I'm about to size you up. Like, I'm going to get to my spots. I think from the right corner, he shot almost like 60% last year from catch and shoot right corner. So I really like how polished that, because Zakai is a pass first guard, really. Like, he can shoot, but he's really a pass first guard.
Yeah, he 100%.
Setting everybody up. So he's going to penetrate, not go for the layup and kick it out. And we can get knockdown shooters from the corners. We're going to be great, man. But I like I said, we were having conversations off the podcast about like potential starting spots for him. I think he could be a starting 4, especially at 6'8". He just has to be able to bang with those power 5 4s and maybe 3. He probably could play the 3 too, depending on how big of a lineup that we do go.
Yeah, and we'll get into starting lineups and we'll kind of shape out what we think it makes more sense. Obviously, you got a lot of different combinations, but because you have a lot of different combinations, because of guys like other transfer out of Charlotte, Igor Milicic. He's a Croatian-born player, and the thing with him is the stat you didn't know for him. He shot 37.6% from 3 last year and 81% from the free throw.
How tall is he?
He's 6'10". He's a power forward. He plays some power forward, plays some 5. So that's another thing, that versatility. We'll get into it. But like, he can play 4, he can play 5. He can post up. He can spread the floor. But the big thing I think would be he could spread the floor.
For sure.
The thing with him, like, obviously, would be he'd average a block last game, but we remember Jonas Adu would get up there. He'd send some shots.
He would.
A couple rows deep.
He did. Rim protecting.
So guys like him, you don't know how much that rim protecting will, which is definitely needed. We don't know how much the rim protecting will transfer. But I'm trying to think. I can't remember the last time I can remember Rick Barnes having a true stretch 4.
Yeah.
Which I think
I am excited.
I think could unlock so much different stuff. One should be in the 4, but even if the 5, like having a stretch 5. The 3-point shooting, I think, is really going to be a game changer, depending on how all of it translates, how he develops.
I think with these guys, like we're saying, Dubar and Milicic, I think the playbook and the sets that we run are probably going to change slightly.
Well, it's not just going to give Dalton Connect the ball.
We had a lot of pin down.
Yeah, that's what I'm
we had a lot of pin down options. Dalton Connect, run on the baseline, come get it, catch a shoot, or go make your own shot. But I think we're going to have like some actual good half-court sets besides that with these new additions. In the last edition that really stuck out to me, I was just watching his film and I was like, really like, wow, was Chaz Lanier. Yeah, he looks good.
Chaz Lanier's a Tennessee native from Nashville. He's a lot of people. He's a 5th year, so regardless, he's a 1 year. He's a 1 year rental, but don't matter, because obviously we've had experience with that, and I think for a lot of people or a lot of fans, he is the most likely Dalton Connect replacement. similar size, a little bit smaller, about the same height-ish, but a little bit smaller.
Averaged around like 20. I know.
Let's look up his.
He was a 50, 40, 90 guy, but he really wasn't a 90 guy. He shot like 88% from the free throw range, but like 50, like averaging 25 and 2. Almost 51% shooting, 44% from 3 and 88% from free throw. That is a bucket. That's what we call a bucket.
He's a bucket getter, very much in that. Like I said, we're gonna stop bringing him up too much, but it is important to mention. But very much in that dog connect.
And watching
bucket getting, and this is where it really comes important. And I think it does. And you'll have to see between him or I think of the two players, if we were to have a true number one option, would be between Dubar or Chaz Lanier. And I think, throughout the season, early on, I think one of them will separate from the other if that's how they choose to roll.
I really would much rather probably have like a 1-2 punch, knowing
1A, 1B.
Yeah, like knowing that Zakai is more pass first this year and has more bucket options, and then he can go get his when like the defense is keying in on it. That is going to open up our offense.
Well, if their shooting stays consistent, then you can definitely do that.
Because what did we were as a team from last year from 3? Do you know?
34%.
34%. Yeah. If we can make that, if we can stay right there or go to like 37% even,
it's pretty good. There's 3-point shooting team
as a team.
Yeah, I think Chaz Lanier definitely has the potential to be that guy as far as your bucket getter, number one scorer, who's going to take the last shot kind of guy. Which again, I think in recent years, not last season with DK, but the year before when they beat Duke, but like fell out of the 16. I did think that was a bit of an issue because I do think, that was like, that's like the number one thing of like, who is game on the line. You need somebody to go get you a bucket. Yeah. Is he going to be Santi? No, we tried it. Didn't really always work. It was going to be Zakai. Well, we mentioned Zakai is much more of a pass first. I mean, he can get a bucket, but he's much more of a pass first.
Yeah.
Was it, Josiah Jordan James, he had his injury concerns. And we didn't have that one guy that could just like everybody back up, which I do think in this day and age in basketball of everything, you kind of do want that one talented player that's like, all right, stand back. I need to create my own shot. Or not even like last bucket, but just like the team's in a rut. Like, I'll never forget, again, we'll calm down, but Dalton Connect against Auburn, scoring like the last like 14, like outscoring Auburn in the second half at home, like by himself outscored Auburn. Yeah. I don't know if I'll say any of these guys will do that. I'm just saying a guy where even when the offense is kind of stalled, you don't have much. They can get his.
Really, we just need you just say we need a microwave again.
You do a very microwave.
Yeah.
Joe Dumars kind of guy that could just get hot. Which I mean, even if one of these guys, like if let's say we'll talk about starting lineups here in a minute, but like Darlington Stone ends up falling to the bench, like I think that's fine. Like I think he could still be that guy to come off the bench and will get a quick bucket. Jordan Gainey will probably might not start and he'll be on the bench and his development.
We could probably have that little the Sacramento Kings system, how Malik Monk will be a starter on like half the teams in the NBA, but like in Sacramento, he's the microwave off the bench. Like he can go get you 35 a game if he go get you 35 if he wants.
Yeah.
So we probably can't have that just in case if Coach Barnes is like, all right, Dubar, I want you off the bench right now this game. What I expect before we get into the starting lineups, what I expect this year is Coach Barnes having a system of like he's going to in the first 10 games it probably won't repeat a starting lineup.
I doubt.
Like we're like it's going to be like okay, who had a good week at practice, what rotation did I like the best, and I'm going to put them out there. And also it's probably going to depend on matchup. But we're probably going to have like towards January, it's just going to be like a set.
Well, I think before we get into conference play, you'll see a lot of. We already did the same thing last year. You do most of the time. That's usually how it goes. And then I think the top 5 will kind of reveal themselves. And then once you go into conference play, that will probably be solidified. So again, like Sunday we play Indiana. It's just an exhibition, but I think the sets in that game are going to be really important.
It's going to be really weird. You're going to
what guys play well with others.
Shaq may come off the bench. You never know. Jordan Gainey might be a starter. You just never know like what Coach Barnes is thinking at the moment. I think he's just going to be his laboratory experimented type of thing going on. But
our last guy that transfer we want to mention, new face. We have some freshmen. And I think me and Jeremiah talked. We're not necessarily anticipating any of these freshmen.
Coach Barnes doesn't really like throw freshmen in the fire for real unless they're just. I think the last like freshman that just got thrown in the fire for real was like Kennedy Chandler.
With Julius Phillips.
He got, but he wasn't. But by the end of the year, he wasn't like just a for sure started, but Kenny Taylor was like the last freshman that he began it and ended the end of the
For sure.
season.
Yeah.
Like,
It's not really. It happens. It's not too common. I don't, and especially the ones that I see. We have some okay guys. I think will end up being contributors.
We don't have any Cooper Flags or
Yeah, I don't think we have one. But our final transfer is a guy from Ohio State, Felix Okpara.
Yeah.
I think is what his name is. And big 7-footer, strong, tall, athletic, very Jonas Adu kind. I think he will probably be the 1-for-1 kind of replacement for Jonas Adu. Like if you were to just replace one of your guys you lost 1-for-1, I do kind of think Felix will end up being that. I'm not so sure that he'll start, but I definitely think you got JP. Yeah, and we'll get right into the starting lineups of like different combinations you could run. Because I think we can both agree it's a Kai Ziegler at 1.
Yeah, for sure.
I think
I feel like that's
as clear as day.
Those for sure. I'm starting.
There's no competition amongst those.
Yeah.
I'm definitely leaning because it
wants to go.
And that's it. You can it depends if you want to go big, you want to go small. Because you want to go big, I think Igor really makes this a compelling argument because you could do. Now, I'm just gonna say for sure, I would say that JP and Felix are kind of interchangeable. Right now, if I had to decide, I would probably say Felix. He's a little bit more experienced. He's a little physically more mature. I think JP's young. And I just think I would trust him a little bit more down there. But for the purposes of our like fantasy lineups, they're kind of interchangeable as on the 5. So you could do like if you were to put Igor Milicic, if he were to be able to stretch the floor,
you put him at
I put him at 4.
If you're trying to go small,
we'll get into that. If you want to go, but for our big line, if you want to go big, you do Igor 4, and Felix or JP Estrella.
That's your 4 or 5.
At the 4 or 5, you got these little twin tower kind of, Tim Duncan, David Robinson, not nearly as good, but that kind of real big lineup down there. Or even your Karl Anthony Towns and your Rudy Gobert, probably the more recent example, but like that kind of with your. This is where it kind of gets complicated. I would say if I were to like really want to stretch the floor, that it would be like Zakai 1, Chaz Lanier 2, and this is where I'm stuck because you want to put, if you're thinking about scoring, you're thinking about stretching the floor. I think Darlingstone, Dubar, and then Igor, Felix. I can see that being a pretty nasty lineup. It's really big. I mean, other than Zakai at 5'9", because we're getting players,
especially if they're dogs that can play deep.
Yeah,
it's the same way Rick Barnes would like us to play deep.
Because that's
would be a pretty good like big lineup. But if I wanted to stretch the floor and go small,
small, I think you would move Igor to the 5.
Yeah, you would.
If he
it's 6'10" too. If he can stretch the floor consistently and like you said, he shot 38% from 3. If he can continue to do that and he can like get stops when we need him to get stops and not skip.
Defensively would be the thing.
That would be a great okay, we need scores, so I need to stretch the floor. I don't need nobody to pay. We're going 5 out, screen motion. I'll put Milicic at the 5. I will put Dubar at 4.
I think so.
Because he's 6'8" and he's long. He's 6'8" long.
I think so.
Kind of stocky. And
I think guard. I think. Yeah, not quite. Probably not quite as strong. But like we used to run Josiah Jordan James at the 4 on his line, and I think he could. I think he could probably slide into similar place. And
then I'll probably. He's probably, if we go small, we probably put Meshack in.
Yes. Meshack probably
like knowing the offense and handling ability and still just like I said, picking up and guarding the best wing. So I said Milicic, Dubar, Meshack, then probably Lanier. I think Lanier and Zakai are most definitely going to be.
I think they're going to be the 1 and 2, but whatever way you kind of shape it, I think they'll be 1 and 2. And I think with that smaller lineup, if you want to do the little, you want to be mobile, you want to be able to stretch the floor, then I do think you move Dubar to the 4, and then you bring. My only problem with the regular starting lineup, like if you were to go big or if you were to just do a combination of different things, would just be you would just really hate to not start Meshack. I mean, I do believe he's one of the better perimeter defenders in the whole nation, and so it would suck to kind of like have to like leave him on the bench.
But is his offensive like into his game?
It's his
side to like get any better.
And I think that's where a guy like for example, Chaz Lanier comes into play. Chaz is able to maintain his 20-point per game scoring. I don't know if that's true, but
they're probably go down like 15.
Yeah, I don't know if that's likely, but like if he were to be able to maintain that 19, 20 points per game, then maybe that does allow you to bring Meshack in. Also, like I said, vocal leader. It's hard to replace that kind of leadership on the floor that he would have. That knowledge, that and then we can get into like, kind of breaking down starting lineup. But I do think the biggest thing with all of this that we have to maintain is all these guys are transfers. A lot of these guys are new, and a lot of these guys haven't played SEC basketball. Yeah, I think other than Felix, they haven't even played Power 5 basketball, Power 4 now, but well, still Power 5 in college. But yeah, they still have yet to prove that those skill sets and those numbers will translate. And more than likely, if we're going to be honest, all these transfers probably won't. Their skill sets and their numbers and their stats probably aren't going to transfer immediately, if at all, with some of them. And that's when I said, that'll kind of show itself. But at the same time, like, that's the biggest unknown is you do have all of these guys. You got all these guys.
Like how would it?
Well, you look at guys like Chasinier, you look at guys like Dubar. You're like, oh, well, their size, their length, their efficiency, it's great. I mean, they look great. I mean, they should be able to come in and feel right in the Dalton shoes. But at the same time, like, we don't know if they're going to do that. The level of competition is so much different. I mean, we'll get into like the top 25. For those don't know, Tennessee came in at 12th in the new AP poll.
It's pretty good, especially with the whole new team. So they obviously see like they're expecting us to.
They're expecting it. The Rick Barnes teams are always going to be good. Rick Barnes is always going to make these. Is going to get the most out of these players. So that's what helps that out. I mean, he's entering his 10th season. He's coming off probably his best season in Knoxville, and he's entering his 10th season. He's proven. I mean, there's no question that the reason these guys are here is because they saw what Dalton Connect did in his time in Knoxville last year. They see how Dalton Connect is succeeding right now in the NBA. I mean, that guy went from playing Northern Colorado like 2 years ago, was a JUCO product, was looked over in high school, and now LeBron James is posting him on Instagram, and he's playing in Los Angeles in crypto sables, but crypto, whatever they call it now. And so like they look at that, and that's the biggest sales pitch that any coaching staff can have, and they didn't even necessarily like have to try for that. I mean, they did, but at the same time, like that just kind of happened.
It's just like
all those guys.
They probably saw there, man. Look what we did.
It did.
Gonna be your last year, man. So we can do for you. This is you can get in, come in, and start get buckets.
Yeah, you can come in my offense. You can get. You can make a name for yourself. You can make a deep postseason run. You can get all eyes on you. You can raise your draft stock, and you can actually make a career out of basketball. And that's what these guys want to do. And so they see that. So of course they're incentivized to play their best, but at the same time, who's gonna rise up to the top and who's not? I guess that remains to be determined. That's why we're here to talk to you guys about it all season. But
speaking of not having played in Power 5, let's get into these.
The schedule is the interesting part, because I was joking with Jeremiah on our way up here when we were about to do the podcast. We play like a mini ACC tournament schedule. Like we play I think we play 4. Well, first of all, we'll go back to the start. We have Exhibition Indiana Sunday. That's just interesting in general because we'll see like how Rick Barnes was to use these players. We'll see if anybody. I mean, I remember Dalton Connect last year against Michigan State. That went viral, and he put up like 27 points. And you kind of think like, oh, is that just like an exhibition? Is that actually going to translate? And he never stopped. He kept doing the same thing, if not got better the rest of the year. Beginning of the year is just going to be a lot of, just
what are
your regular teams. But we'll start getting like into deeper teams.
What are your favorite matchups this year?
My favorite matchups, especially the non-conference ones. We host we are going to Louisville. Our third game, second game of the season. But we go straight to Louisville, Kentucky to in a 1-for-1. We'll play there next year. They'll play here this year. That is just going to be an interesting matchup just in general, because I mean a lot of times you play a bunch of cupcake no-name teams start off the season, and we're kind of getting thrown in the fire. We're going to be on the way. The Rick Barnes teams have kind of struggled on the road sometimes. Just in general, we've dropped some long. Tennessee as a school kind of struggles on the road. So we'll go straight to Louisville November 9th. It's a Saturday, and I think it'll be a big test. We'll see how they look against not maybe equal talent, but at the same time, guys who are also in Power 4. And Louisville's always a basketball.
Basketball program.
It's never a bad basketball team. Rarely a bad basketball team. That will be interesting. And then later we'll go to the Bahamas for a tournament where we'll take on Virginia. another usually pretty decent basketball school.
The random retirement.
Yes, even though they're dealing with some coaching turnover over there, so I guess we'll see what their season looks like anyways, but tentatively that will still be a test game for us. Another bigger program, bigger basketball school. You want to play your best. We played pretty well last year I think we went to the Bahamas too last year. Yeah, we went to the Bahamas.
Who do we lose? We lost a really close game, I think, in the final. Like
we lost to
it was more. Who did we lose to? Because we had I think did we beat Duke?
I think we beat Kansas, didn't we?
No, it was Kansas. Yeah, I think Kansas was like a number 1 team in the nation or something like that. So I don't know. I don't remember it exactly, but like
I do remember before we got into conference play, we went to the same tournament.
Yeah, went to Bahamas and
we got some buckets. We lost to Purdue there. Yeah, we played Purdue twice, lost to Purdue. We played Syracuse while we were there. We'll play Syracuse again in Knoxville for the ACC SEC challenge. I think that will be another one. We took care of business. Syracuse again, like I said, pattern. We've taken on a lot of decent basketball programs. We are starting off pretty light. We lost to Kansas narrowly. Okay, so we beat Syracuse pretty handily. That was good. And then we held our own 4-point loss to Purdue and a 9-point loss to Kansas. So we did go on a 3-game losing streak there and still managed to come away with the season, a pretty good record. But those are 3 straight games that we played pretty well. So this will be another stretch for us to prove ourselves.
I think my most anticipated thing is just seeing conference play. We always do well in in the SEC games, but conference play is what really kills us. Like when we lost to A&M, stuff like that. I'm really excited to see this Arkansas matchup this year.
Yeah, we open SEC play against Arkansas.
Just seeing everybody transfer from Kentucky to follow Coach Cal, and then
Gaudis will be there. Coach Cal will be there.
Incoming class coming in, just flipping their commitment from Kentucky to Arkansas as well. So
just a few more. March 1st, we got Alabama. Alabama came in pretty high on the AP poll. There'll be another one.
A sleeper game, I think, as well. Vanderbilt would be a good game. We lost it. Did we not lose to them? Did we lose to them?
2 years ago. They did.
2 years, yeah. So they always give us their best foot forward, especially. So is it a home? Oh, it's a home game, but especially when we're away and Vanderbilt, for some odd reason, they play their best ball. Kentucky is still ranked.
Kentucky on the road. Kentucky's still Kentucky.
That's probably going to still be
I think of Kentucky the way I think of Bama when they get it, football when they get a new coach. I'm going to assume that they're still going to be Kentucky until they prove that they're not Kentucky. So until then, I'll assume it. But let's kind of round this out a little bit. We've been kind of yapping a little bit with let's just round it off with some predictions. Jeremiah and I have talked about this. I don't like doing just
game by game,
straight up, this is the record, this is what they're due. So what I'm going to ask you, Jeremiah, is I'm just going to say, with all the pieces, with all the talent, with all the strengths and weaknesses that we've gone over, what do you think is the ceiling for this team, and what do you think should reasonably be the floor?
I'll probably go floor first. I think we'll be good enough to have a top 4 seed in the SEC tournament, just because of how good Coach Barnes is and his experience in that setting. I'm not going to say that we're just going to automatically win the SEC tournament like we did last year, because I have not seen enough basketball from these guys.
Sure. Alabama's good. Florida is another team. I mean, there's a bunch of ranked teams in the.
Especially because it's just a new. This is a new team. Yeah. This is a new team. We have 2 or 3 central pieces, but this is an actual new team. So I have to see enough basketball. So I think Florida would be a pretty good seed in the SEC tournament. A ceiling, I don't know, man. I feel like our best team that Coach Barnes has had in years was last year's team, and we didn't get past the Elite 8. So I can't say, oh, yeah, we're just going to go to the Final Four. Of course, the Tennessee fan in me would want to say that. But a good ceiling, I feel like a good and reasonable ceiling would be definitely around a 32 appearance. And just depending on who we play there.
Yeah.
I would just go step by step. I would say I'm going to stop right there and not get too overzealous.
For sure.
Because I'm saying my floor is a good seed in the SEC tournament for sure, and my ceiling would be around a 32 appearance and just going game by game depending on who we play. What do you think?
I'll go a little bit further. I think floor, another 20-win season, 7 straight NCAA. March Madness appearance. I think those are standard. I think that should be expected from this team. I think you should be able to take care of the games you're supposed to take care of. Maybe take a few more. I mean, like I said, we lost a few last year that were close to some big schools. You kind of want to take one of those. I think maybe this team should try to reach for that. So I do think that's reasonable to be expected. Not 20, at least 20 wins.
Okay.
And
we were 27-9 last year, right?
Yes, 27-9. So at least another 20 wins. Another postseason appearance. I think all of that. I would like to win a game in the SEC tournament. I do think that's reasonably expected. I like
that's why I just said I think we're gonna get the seed.
I'd like to get bounced out in the first. I would also say lineups we talked about. I mean, just the potential of that. I think the potential they could run it back the same way to the Elite Eight. I think they could. They get lucky. I think if they find their rhythm, I wouldn't be surprised if they run it back. I'm not going to go so far as to say Final Four. I think that's a little overzealous.
Right back.
But if that team does, I could see a way where the team kind of picks up right where we left off. Yes, we mentioned a million times the pieces that we lost, but I could see a world where this team just picks up right where we left off. I do think some of these pieces can unlock. Like we said, it's not just the one player. You did lose one dynamic player, but you had the potential to add several very some real contributors here. And I don't think as far as a ceiling, like the best this team could do, I don't think that would be out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, I mean that wouldn't be crazy. I just said around the 32 because I just know
that's reasonable.
I know and I know Tennessee sports, man. It's not even just Tennessee basketball. I just know Tennessee sports like football. I really didn't even expect because baseball, we probably supposed to be champions the year before as well. Yeah. So you just never know. But just knowing like I said, I know I feel like last year's team was probably the best. Like I said, because of Don Connect and just the veteranship and stuff like that with Josiah Jordan-James and Vescovy in the starting lineup, and Ziegler playing as good as he was and stuff like that, and Adu and Owaka. I feel like that was the best team that was probably had in his 10-year being here. But I guess I have to see if I can see this exhibition and then the first couple games.
Yeah,
it's gonna give me amped up. Just like last year when I seen Don Connect do that, I was like, bro, who is this guy? And so I'm more in tune with the team this year before saying who is this guy. So it's just gonna be like, oh, he's for real. Now it's not gonna be a who is this guy. It's gonna be like, oh, he's for real. So maybe we are gonna get to the Elite Eight again. Maybe we can go farther even. But that's just. I'm not really big fan of predictions either because you just never know what happened because
they're obligatory.
Yeah, it's like you got to think about injuries. You got to think about lineup changes. You got to think about you just never know what can possibly happen in a season of basketball. So yes.
All right. Well, that's all I have.
Well, thank y'all again, man, for listening to us. We're gonna have so many more. I'm so excited for this season, man.
I'm very excited.
We appreciate you. Like you said, Field 68. Shout out Jeff Goodman, man. We appreciate the opportunity. If you guys enjoy, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, man. Put post notifications on. I'm telling these are coming at least once a week, maybe more. Me and Gabe are really in tune with Tennessee sports. He's a big guy on campus, man, when it comes to Tennessee basketball and Tennessee sports. And I'm starting to do my own thing, man. So I'm writing for this network called College Basketball Review. So I'm going to be going to as many games as possible, doing my own articles and stuff like that. So we really know what we're talking about. We're just not making basis comments and basis predictions and stuff like that. But the social media and stuff is probably going to be in the description as well. So please follow those things. We're probably about to get active on those things as well as soon as this comes out. But like I said, we appreciate y'all for listening in. Gabe, you got something else to say?
That's all I got. Appreciate it. It was a fun episode. Can't wait for more.
All right, man. Peace out.